Welcome to this week's look at the state of the New York City real estate market, where I take a look at the luxury market, the Manhattan market, and the Brooklyn market. I do it because I want you to be informed. It never hurts when you're a consumer to be informed. Welcome to this week's look at the state of the New York City real estate market. As always, I bring you the very latest news about what's happening in the New York City real estate market, everything from the luxury market to the Manhattan market to the Brooklyn market. We're going to be looking at the week of August 22nd to the 28th, and we're going to start with the luxury market, as we always do. I just want to remind you that if you have any questions, you should post them below. If you find this kind of content of help to you, please subscribe. I bring you this news every week, and a lot of my clients find it very helpful to stay current on what's happening in the market. It's very difficult to get statistics in the New York City real estate market because of our transaction process, which is typically delayed by 3 months or so. And so sometimes we don't get closing prices and things like that. It's not published for probably around 3 months. So anyway, we're going to start with the luxury market. There were 21 contracts signed last week at $4 million and above. That was 13 more than the previous week, which, as I mentioned last week, was the lowest that we've had since the beginning of August of 2020. So the rebound was led by condos. They outsold co-ops 17-2. There were 2 townhouses in the mix. Speaking of townhouses, the number one contract this last week was a townhouse at 2 East 82nd Street. It was asking $25 million. It's been on and off the market since 2019. It started at $32 million. Handsome 6-story, 25 feet wide brick limestone house, has a commercial elevator and over 12,000 square feet. It was sold by the Marymount School, which has been using the house as a middle school. It was originally built, of course, as a single-family home. Because it's been used as a school, this townhouse needs to be completely renovated. So very interesting sale. Beautiful, beautiful building. All right, now let's take a look at the number 2 contract. For last week, it was 2627D at 1965 Broadway. It was asking almost $14 million, $13.95 million. It was reduced from almost $15 million when it was listed in March of 2021. This duplex condo has 4,800 square feet. It includes 5 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, 2 powder rooms, a mahogany paneled library, and spectacular views of Central Park and the city. These are 2 combined units that were renovated in 2010. Amenities in the building include a doorman, a concierge, and a resident manager. Let's take a look at the stats for last week. The total weekly asking price sales volume was $153,110,000. The average asking price, $7,290,952. The median asking price was $5,995,000. Here's an interesting one from last week. The average discount from original ask to last asking price, 9%. Wow. We have not seen that kind of discount, I think, in quite a long time. Usually we're hovering around 2%, 3%. Last week it was 6%. This week, 9%. Okay. Well, I have some thoughts on that. My thoughts would be that we are in the dog days of summer, and the sellers that are very serious about getting their properties sold are being more negotiable in this market because we simply have, right now anyway, fewer buyer eyes on these properties that are available. So That's my thinking. We'll have to see if this continues as a trend. We'll know in the next few weeks as the market, after the holiday, and the market begins to come back in with more inventory and more buyers back in the market. The average days on the market, 558. As you know, many of these properties are included, even if they're not in the number 1 or 2 position. They are new development often, and new development simply takes longer to sell, as do properties over 4 million. They just take a little longer to sell. So average days on the market, this is higher than we're used to seeing. It usually doesn't break 500, but is this meaningful to see this kind of average days on the market breaking 500? Well, if it continues as a trend, then it is meaningful. For right now, it's a one-off, just like the original, just as the average discount from original ask to last asking price being 9%. So we're going to keep an eye on this, as I always do. I'm always going to keep an eye on this and bring you the latest news. All right, that is it for the luxury market. As I said, please post your questions. Let me know if there are things that I'm not reporting on that you would like to know more about, whether it's a kind of general question about the real estate market here or specific questions about something that is of particular interest to you. I did have a really interesting request to start including the average sale prices, median sale prices, kind of market-wide for Manhattan and Brooklyn. I am going to be starting to include that in my report. You're going to get a little taste of it as we move into the Manhattan and Brooklyn market charts for this week. But I am going to start to expand this because I understand that that is something that people would like to know about. Okay, let's move on to Manhattan. Okay, so last week's look at the Manhattan market. We are seeing supply and pending sales both trending downward. Again, dog days of summer, not particularly surprising. We would expect this to continue right on through until the end of the summer. As I've mentioned before, July, August, and September are our slowest months traditionally. We may not begin to see a rebound until sometime in mid to late September. Let's take a look at the weekly chart from last week. There were 156 properties on the market. That was a change of a little less than 15%. Contracts signed in the week, it is showing a slight uptick, about 6%, or 174 contracts signed. And the off-market properties, 177, down 25%. These are, again, that's a very close-up view of what's happening just in a weekly way. It doesn't quite tell the full picture, but it is good, I think, to look at these weekly numbers because after a while, we begin to see how they form a pattern. Now let's back up a little bit and take a look at the overall supply. We're seeing from this chart that the Manhattan inventory continues to tick down as the summer is drawing to a close. The pending sales ticked down, but they continue to remain above 2019 levels. Why is that important? Because 2019 was a normal market for us. So we are seeing a bit of an uptick even from that time. So that's good. As far as the new listings go, the weekly new listings ticked down to their lowest of the year so far. And the signed contracts, it falls also to seasonal lows, but it came in ahead of the new listings. So here's an interesting chart, and this is what I meant when I said that we were going to take a look a little bit and start to include the average sales prices. Early look at Q3 is showing us that our prices are down between, let's say, 5 and 8% of where we were in Q2 last year. Time will tell if this is going to continue. Buyers, I have been advising that there is opportunity around the corner. So buyers, I have been advising that you should be on the lookout for opportunity as this market is shifting. And as we're seeing these early signs of a downward trend between 5 and, let's say, 8, 9% in pricing of the average sales prices, this may be a signal to you that we are headed into times where we're going to see the prices coming down a little bit. Sellers, don't freak out. It isn't an absolute, but you should be prepared that we have been in a shifting market over these last few months this summer. And from the indicators in early Q3, it looks like we are continuing in that direction. If you have any questions about this, I am very happy to speak with you about what exactly this looks like for each sector of the market here. Our neighborhoods are very different. Prices are very different from each other because we have co-ops, we have condos, we have townhouses, and these all have their own place in the market. So proper pricing is incredibly important. You've heard me talk about this, that you make your best deal, you make the most money if you can get yourself into contract from, let's say, between 2 and 4 weeks of being on the market. That is it for the Manhattan market for last week. Let's take a look at Brooklyn. Okay, so Brooklyn and Manhattan are both experiencing this kind of downward trend in inventory. Slight difference with Brooklyn, as you will see as I share these charts, is that we saw a bit of a surge in contract activity. There continues to be a very high demand for the Brooklyn borough properties. Let's start now. We're going to back up. We're going to take a look, that 1 week view of where the supply, the signed contracts, the off-market numbers, what those look like. We saw the supply at 127, that was down about almost 7%. We saw signed contracts, 173, a jump of a little over 33%, and the off-market properties, 70, again, down almost 17%. These off-market properties are most likely frustrated sellers who are not getting their deals done, and they're just frustrated and taking their properties off the market, either for good and they're just going to rent them out, or they're going to hang on to them, or they are going to wait until the summer is over and we have more buyers back in the market. So that's where we were last week. Now let's take a look at the supply overall. The Brooklyn inventory, as I mentioned, continues its slow seasonal decline as the summer draws to a close. We're also seeing a bit of a seasonal decline in the pending sales, but as I mentioned, we do see a little bit of an uptick that we're going to talk about. The new listings, we, again, are not seeing a lot of new listings. It's probably going to continue like this until after Labor Day, when people are going to start to bring their properties on the market. The Brooklyn listing volume continues at a lower pace as compared to last year. And the signed contracts, this is a chart that I was talking about before. The contract activity popped a little bit. It's surprising, yes, but historically speaking, it's very likely a little early to be the start of a new upward trend. However, we do see very high demand for Brooklyn, and I wouldn't be surprised if it continues in that vein. So again, as we compare the Brooklyn market early Q3 to Q2 of last year, we're also seeing a bit of a downtrend in the average sales price, but far less negotiability than in Manhattan, only about 2%. Again, an indicator that Brooklyn remains the favorite of the buyers in a way. We know that we have a lot of buyers for Brooklyn who really want to buy property there. So we're seeing less negotiability. Be interesting to see what happens in the fall when more properties come on the market, what the buyers will do then. We will soon know. Okay, that's it for this week's look at the state of the New York City real estate market. I will be back next week with more of the latest news about what is happening in the luxury market, the Manhattan market, and the Brooklyn market. In the meantime, reach out to me with your questions and take care.